Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Insider addresses Steelers, DK Metcalf rumors. The Pittsburgh Steelers added another name to their list of possible wide receiver targets in Seattle Seahawks wideout DK Metcalf. The dynamic wide receiver sat out of the Week 9 matchup against the Rams due to a knee injury, and the Steelers have been looking for any and all receiver, according to ESPN's Adam Schefter. However, Schefter believes Metcalf will not end up a Pittsburgh Steeler. On an appearance on the Pat McAfee Show, co-host Tone Diggs asked him about the possibility of the trade. "That's an example of a curveball I'm not expecting. I've heard nothing about DK Metcalf. That's the first time I've heard about that," Schefter said. Therefore, it seems unlikely that the Steelers land any significant talent by the time the end of the trade deadline rolls around. The Steelers have struck out on a large amount of big names including Brandon Ayuk and Davante Adams this season, but seem determined to make something happen before they run out of time. While the room was widely thought to have been one of the weakest going into the season, the Steelers do not rank in the bottom 5 for passing yards on the season. The Steelers have also done a great job of utilizing their tight ends as well, as Darnell Washington and Pat Freiermuth have both been effective at moving the ball down the field. Along with Jaylen Warren, Najee Harris and Cordarrelle Patterson excelling on the ground, the Steelers' offense seems to be trending in the right direction for the first time since Ben Roethlisberger's retirement. The Steelers have a tough schedule for the rest of the season, with all of their divisional opponents still remaining. It will be quite a test for the Steelers' depth, especially at the wide receiver position. The NFL trade deadline is rapidly approaching and the Pittsburgh Steelers can't be caught napping. To the surprise of many, Mike Tomlin's team is 6-2 entering the second half of the season, and Russell Wilson has given fans more reason to be optimistic than we ever could have expected. The latest NFL Power Rankings suggest the Steelers are a bona fide top 10 team in the NFL, and they could further help their chances of making a deep playoff run by bolstering their roster in the waning hours before the deadline. Here are 3 trades Pittsburgh must make immediately. After Davante Adams landed with the Jets and with Cooper Kupp no longer an option after the Rams' recent surge, the Pittsburgh Steelers should be all in on Darius Slayton. The Giants put on a clinic against Pittsburgh's defense in Week 8, and Mike Tomlin got a good taste of what Slayton could offer this team. With 4.39 speed and an extremely affordable contract on the last year of his rookie deal, adding Slayton would be a cinch if Pittsburgh was willing to give up one of their 5th-round picks in the 2025 NFL Draft. While Slayton could turn into a half-year rental, his presence would help take Pittsburgh to the next level on offense. Just picture Russell Wilson launching moonballs to the speedster working opposite George Pickens. Meanwhile, the Giants are a 2-7 team that should be more than willing to unload talent for draft capital before the deadline. Trade makes too much sense to ignore, and Omar Khan needs to make it happen before the deadline. In order to land a top-flight starting cornerback, the Steelers would either be asked to part with too much draft capital or take on a hefty contract. Jonathan Jones offers the perfect blend of talent without breaking the bank. Jones isn't a special football player, but he's still going strong at 31 years old and is deserving of a starting role on defense. The age is but a number for a Steelers team with their best players already in their 30s, and the time to act is now. Jones plays mostly out wide but is also capable of slot duties if needed. His presence would push a struggling Dante Jackson into a smaller sub-package role. For the price of a late-round pick, Jones could offer depth, stability, and veteran leadership to a secondary that has been up and down this year. Week 9 results aided T.J. Watt in uncontested Defensive Player of the Year race. T.J. Watt is normally the defensive player drawing all the attention, but in Week 9, the Pittsburgh Steelers star didn't need to lift a finger to increase his odds of winning the Defensive Player of the Year award. As the Steelers were on their bye week, Watt got a much-needed rest where he could sit back and watch other defenders around the league battle it out in the trenches. Fortunately for Watt, the results of individual performances around the NFL in Week 9 actually increased his chances of running away with his second DPOY award. Giants DT Dexter Lawrence, who was once considered Watt's greatest competition for the award, failed to record a sack or a tackle for a loss against the Commanders on Sunday. With another New York loss, Lawrence is suddenly plummeting in DPOY odds. Watt's biggest competition at the moment are Texans edge Will Anderson Jr. and Chiefs DL Chris Jones. Anderson didn't suit up for the Texans' Week 9 Thursday night football game against the Jets, while Jones was on a 3-game skid without a sack prior to Sunday night football this week. Entering Week 10, Watt has -125 odds to win the Defensive Player of the Year award, courtesy of DraftKings Sportsbook. Every other player is an afterthought. Watt's biggest competition for the DPOY award this year undoubtedly would have been Aiden Hutchinson. With the Lions performing like the best team in the NFL, Hutchinson was on pace for a remarkable season. Unfortunately, a devastating leg injury ended his 2024 campaign early. Though Watt is a runaway favorite to win this award, a new candidate is emerging. Trey Hendrickson has been one of the more underrated pass rushers in the NFL for the past several seasons, but he's quickly putting himself on the map. The Bengals star is coming off a 4-sack performance against the Las Vegas Raiders in Week 9. After earning 17.5 sacks and his third straight Pro Bowl honors in 2023, Hendrickson already has 11.0 sacks in 9 games this season. This puts him on the pace for roughly 20.5 sacks in 2024. Obviously, Steelers fans know it takes more than sack totals to win the Defensive Player of the Year award, otherwise Watt would have 3 such honors to his name already. Hendrickson could have a remarkable year as a pass rusher and still fall short. His shot of winning the award is largely tied to the success the Bengals can find the rest of the way. If Cincinnati has a strong push in the second half of the season, Hendrickson could emerge as one of the top contenders for the DPOY award. Steelers fans don't need to worry. The Associated Press voters are finally recognizing how much attention TJ Watt draws on a weekly basis and what he does for his football team. As long as Watt can stay healthy and Pittsburgh's defense doesn't completely fall apart, Watt will remain the front-runner for the DPOY award in 2024. After surprise trade, a new name gains steam as WR trade target for Steelers. The Pittsburgh Steelers have been after Courtland Sutton for a while. They have even checked in on the Broncos wide receiver throughout the process, but the Broncos have been apprehensive about moving Sutton. However, after trading edge rusher Baron Browning, the 5-4 Broncos have signaled that they are open for business. NFL Network insider Tom Pelissero believes that a trade for a wide receiver does get done for the Steelers, and he threw Sutton's name in there as someone to watch. Pelissero said that Sutton would cost a lot to pry away from the Broncos, but it could not be ruled out that he would be a trade candidate. You look at guys like Courtland Sutton from the Broncos, and they have certainly had offers for him, Pelissero said on the Rich Eisen show. They've had a few in the last few years for him. How does Sean Payton feel about that roster at this point? It would not be cheap, but that's a name to watch. Pelissero added that names such as Darius Slayton and Mike Williams remain hot names. However, Sutton would be a surprising name and likely the most significant player that the Steelers could look to acquire at this point in the cycle. He has built-in chemistry with Russell Wilson that could allow him to accelerate from the jump in the offense. The trade deadline is on Tuesday at 4 p.m. And you fan? What do you think of the situation of Courtland Sutton? Leave your opinion in the comments.